Today, I have an advanced English fluency masterclass to help you improve all areas of your English. In this masterclass, you'll improve your vocabulary, grammar, listening, pronunciation, and speaking. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, you'll learn how to talk about your daily routine, but not at a basic level, at the C1 advanced level. Let's talk about Mark's daily routine. Say hello to Mark. Mark is a manager, he's married, and he has 2 young kids. Let me tell you about Mark's daily routine at an advanced C1 level, and after I'll explain all the advanced vocabulary and grammar that you can add to your speech. The alarm rings at 6:30 a.m., signaling the beginning of Mark's day. With precision, he orchestrates the morning routine, ensuring his 2 energetic children are dressed and fed. As the aroma of coffee fills the air, Mark reviews his schedule, preparing for the day ahead. Notice how this daily routine started in a very advanced way, almost a poetic way. The alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. Most students would simply say, I wake up at 6:30 a.m. Or in this case, Mark wakes up at 6:30 a.m. But this is very beginner and boring. The alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. That sounds so advanced. Why don't you try that? You can say my alarm instead of the alarm. You can make it possessive. My alarm rings, present simple conjugated with my alarm, it. My alarm rings at. Put that in the comments and share what time your alarm rings, which is an alternative to saying I wake up at. My alarm rings at. As for me, my alarm rings at 5:30 a.m., signaling the beginning of Mark's day. Notice here we have signaling in the ing form. This is a present participle. It adds description by showing the result of the action. With precision. Precision means that there was a high level of accuracy. This is an advanced noun. You could also say with ease, because you want to talk about your daily routine as being easy, with ease. He orchestrates the morning routine. Again, notice the vocabulary is at that more advanced C1 level. To orchestrate means to organize, arrange, or coordinate. And notice those verb conjugations because we're in the present simple and it's being conjugated with the subject he. He, she, it, you need to add that s. With precision, he orchestrates the morning routine, ensuring, notice here another present participle. Again, it describes the action, ensuring his 2 energetic children are dressed and fed. As the aroma of coffee fills the air. Notice here, aroma is a more advanced way of saying the smell of coffee, the aroma of coffee. Mark reviews his schedule, preparing another present participle, preparing for his day ahead. Let's move on. At the office, Mark transitions into his managerial role, leading a diverse team. His day is filled with back-to-back Zoom meetings and presentations. Mark excels in conveying intricate ideas during meetings and negotiations. At the office, Mark transitions into something, his managerial role. Maybe you could say, after tending to my children, I have to transition into my marketing role, or whatever your next role is. At the office, Mark transitions into his managerial role, leading a diverse team. Again, the present participle. It describes the action. His day is filled with. To be filled with something, this means to contain a lot of. Now, although contain is a more advanced vocabulary term than filled with, adding phrasal verbs, idioms, and expressions is a great way to sound more advanced, to sound more C1. So to be filled with sounds more advanced than saying contains. And back-to-back Zoom meetings and presentations. This means that as one meeting ends, another one immediately begins, back-to-back. Mark excels in explaining intricate ideas. This is a C1 or C2 sentence. A more beginner sentence would be saying, Mark is very good at communicating complex ideas. But notice that grammar difference. To excel in something or doing something, or to be good at. So you need a different preposition. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Let's move on. As the workday concludes, Mark races against the clock to attend his children's extracurricular activities. Soccer practice, music lessons, and art classes become integral parts of their routine. In the car rides between activities, Mark cherishes the moments of connection with his children. As the workday concludes. Concludes is a more advanced way of saying as the workday ends. As the workday concludes, Mark races against the clock. This is an expression, to race against the clock. This is when you have to work quickly to complete all your tasks within a limited amount of time, to race against the clock. Soccer practice, music lessons, and art classes become integral parts of their daily routine. Integral means essential or necessary. It's a more advanced term. Let's look at this sentence. In the car ride between activities, Mark cherishes the moments of connection with his children. This is a complex sentence. The first part is a dependent clause, which means it is not a complete sentence. But if you add it to an independent clause, then it becomes a complex sentence. Using complex sentences is an integral part of sounding more advanced, fluent, and C1. Let's move on. Following dinner, the family reunites in collective activities, whether it's a board game, a movie night, or a stroll in the neighborhood. Mark, though weary from the demands of the day, revels in the simple pleasures of familial bonds. Following dinner, this is a more way of saying after dinner. The family reunites in collective activities. This is very advanced and again, almost poetic. A more B1 everyday way of saying this would be, the family spends quality time together. One of the activities is a stroll in the neighborhood. A stroll is a leisurely walk. So if there is a word, stroll, that means something else, to walk leisurely, it sounds more advanced to use the one word that communicates that idea. A stroll, a leisurely walk. Now grammatically, you can use to go for a stroll. Following dinner, we went for a lovely stroll in the park. The verb is go, so it's conjugated in the past simple, went. You can also take a stroll. Following dinner, we took the past simple of take. Following dinner, we took a lovely stroll in the park. Both are common and equally used. Let's learn about how Mark ends his daily routine. As the clock inches towards bedtime, Mark carves out a brief period for personal reflection by reading, meditating, or journaling. As he slips into his comfortable bed, he savors the tranquility that descends upon his home. As the clock inches towards bedtime, this is very advanced, it sounds poetic. As bedtime approaches, clearly sounds more intermediate, more basic than as the clock inches towards bedtime. Mark carves out a brief period for personal reflection by, and then you have your activities. By reading, by meditating, or by journaling. You could say, I start my day by, and then whatever the activity is. I start my day by working out for 30 minutes. I end my day. I conclude my day to sound more advanced. I conclude my day by meditating for 15 minutes. It's an integral part of my daily routine. As he slips into his comfortable bed, to slip into is a more advanced poetic way of saying to get into. I get into bed at 10 o'clock. I slip into my warm and comfortable bed as the clock inches towards 10 p.m. That sounds very advanced and poetic. He savors, he really enjoys. He savors the tranquility, the peace and quiet. He savors the tranquility that descends upon his home. Descends, that enters, that fills his home. A B1 student might simply say, he enjoys the quiet in his home. Now let's look at this whole sentence together, which is a complex sentence. And I want you to notice the as he, and then the other part of the sentence, he. As he X, he Y. X and Y being the activities. As I prepare my breakfast, I review my back-to-back meetings. As I is the dependent clause, which means it's incomplete. You have to connect it to an independent clause. I review my back-to-back meetings. That would be the independent clause. So this is a complex sentence, a great way to sound more advanced. Amazing job. Now let's keep going and you'll learn how to talk about your hobbies. And you'll talk about your hobbies fluently and naturally. And you'll also learn advanced C1 phrases. First, let's review the most common verbs of preference that you need to talk about hobbies. Like, enjoy, love, and adore. Adore sounds even stronger than love. Now remember, with your verb of preference, the next verb needs to be in the gerund form, the verb with ing. I like, and now we need a hobby. I like reading fiction. So like plus gerund verb. Now, although native speakers don't always follow this rule, for certain verbs of preference, native speakers always use the gerund. So this is only flexible with certain verbs. Because of that, to make it easier for you, always use the gerund verb with a verb of preference. So let's practice this. What do you like doing? Like, gerund verb. I like, and then put it in the comments. You need an activity. So share a hobby, use that gerund verb. I like what? I can't wait to find out. Now, of course, you can use other verbs of preference. I enjoy taking pictures of nature. Taking pictures, our gerund. I love playing piano. I adore playing basketball. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now, with your verb of preference, you can also use a noun. I like photography. I like taking photos with the gerund verb, or a noun, I like photography. I enjoy sports. I love music. I adore languages. All of these were the noun form. Now, of course, those are very simple statements. So let's add on to that to make it more complex. I like reading fiction in my free time. I enjoy taking pictures of nature in my leisure time. So you can use free time or leisure time. Both are acceptable. I would say free time is slightly more common. Playing piano is my favorite pastime. So using pastime is an alternative to say hobby. Playing piano is my favorite hobby, activity, pastime. And notice here, I'm using a gerund statement. Playing piano, that's a gerund statement. Playing piano is my favorite pastime. Instead of using the word pastime, you could say, playing piano is my favorite way to pass the time. Pastime, to pass the time. They're the same meaning, just different structures. Now let me share some more advanced C1 phrases that you can add to your vocabulary. You will sound very advanced and professional if you say, I'm an avid cyclist. The structure is to be an avid, and then you need a noun. Cyclist, that is someone who cycles. So that's the noun form. And if you're an avid cyclist, it means you really, really, really love cycling. You could say, I'm passionate about photography as the noun, or about taking photos with the gerund verb. And don't forget, you need that verb to be passionate about, noun or gerund. You could say, I spend every chance I get in my garden, or gardening. So here, to spend time in a location, or the activity, which is in the gerund verb. You could say, I recently took up cooking, and now I spend all my free time trying new recipes. The phrasal verb here is to take up. When you take up an activity, it simply means you start that activity. But using the phrasal verb will make you sound very natural, advanced, and professional. Now let's review some natural phrases to help you sound just like a native speaker. I'm really into meditation. I'm really into doing yoga. To be into plus noun, meditation, or gerund, doing yoga. This simply means you really enjoy. I'm really into art. I'm really into painting. You really enjoy these activities. I'm a huge fan of puzzles and playing word games. To be a fan of plus noun or gerund. And you can say, I'm a huge fan, a big fan, so you can modify fan to make it sound stronger. Here's a fun one. I live to surf. I live to go surfing. This sounds very strong. You spend your entire life thinking about or doing the activity. And in this case, you don't use the gerund. To live plus infinitive. I live to surf. But don't get confused with I live to go surfing. Let's talk about that structure. We use the structure to go plus gerund for verbs of movement, like surfing. You could say, whenever I have free time, I always go. So here the verb is go. This is the verb you're conjugating. So it might be she always goes because you need to conjugate it, but then the next verb, if it's a verb of movement, will be in the gerund form. I always go hiking, biking, skiing, dancing, walking, jogging, running, and many other verbs of movement are possible. Another way to sound more advanced when talking about your hobbies is to add an adjective. So let's review some common adjectives. I love reading because I find it very relaxing or calming. Painting is a great way to be creative. So creative is my adjective, and notice this is a gerund expression. Painting is a great way to be creative. I'm into sports because I love being active, or I love being social. I'm passionate about puzzles because I find them very challenging. Spending the afternoon in nature is very enjoyable. So instead of saying I enjoy spending time in nature, you're using enjoyable as the adjective, and your sentence is a gerund statement. So that sounds quite advanced simply by changing the structure. Traveling and learning about the world is very fulfilling. Now you have a lot of vocabulary and grammar to talk about your hobbies, but what about if you want to ask someone about their hobbies? Do you have any hobbies? What are your favorite hobbies? What hobbies do you enjoy? Those are the 3 most common questions, but let's look at some more advanced C1 questions. What do you enjoy doing in your free time? How do you usually spend your free time? Usually is an adverb of frequency, so that's why we have the present simple here. What's your favorite way to pass the time? And notice that all these questions use vocabulary you previously learned to talk about your hobbies. So you're really using the same vocabulary, but you're forming it in a question. Now let's review some natural ways you can ask someone about their hobbies. What are you into? Remember, you already learned this. I'm really into. Now you're just asking, what are you into? What do you do for fun? So instead of saying as a hobby or in your free time, it's just for fun. What do you do for fun? Do you like sports? This is a really great way because let's say you like sports. That's your passion. That's what you live for. You can just ask the other person, do you like sports? And then even if they say, no, I don't, I prefer, and then they'll tell you what they like instead. So you'll learn about their hobby simply by asking that question. How do you like to unwind? To unwind, this means to relax, to de-stress, because that's why we enjoy hobbies, right? To answer this one, you can use a gerund statement to sound quite advanced. Drawing is my favorite way to unwind. Right now, you might be thinking, but Jennifer, I'm too busy for hobbies. Don't worry, let's talk about some phrases you can use for hypothetical or future hobbies. If I had more free time, I'd love to take up drawing. And now you already know what take up an activity means. I'd love to take up drawing. So this is a hypothetical because you don't have free time. So if someone asks you, what are you into? What do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? You could say, I wish I had time to play basketball. So the person understands that you love basketball, but it's not currently your hobby because you said, I wish I had, which means you don't have it right now. If I weren't so busy at work, I do yoga every day because I live for yoga. But again, it's hypothetical. If I weren't so busy, but you are busy. Or you could say, once I, and then present simple. Once I graduate, once I finish, once I complete, Once I graduate, I'll definitely learn how to salsa. So again, you're sharing that you're passionate about salsa or dance, but right now, you're focused on graduating. So this isn't currently your hobby, but it's a hypothetical future hobby. So these are great phrases to have in your vocabulary. Now let's keep going and you'll learn how to start conversations in English. You'll learn great phrases for small talk. First of all, you might be wondering, what is small talk? Small talk is polite conversation about unimportant and uncontroversial topics. Remember, unimportant. Small talk is supposed to be boring. Now, when can you make small talk? First of all, notice I said you make small talk. That's the verb you use, make small talk. I learned how to make small talk today. So let's talk about when you make small talk. Maybe you get to a meeting early and there are 3 to 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Perfect time to make small talk. You're in the elevator with a coworker or someone you don't know. Or maybe you're waiting in line at the grocery store or the bank. Or a perfect time when you sit down beside a stranger. Like when you sit down on a plane and you're going to be sitting next to that person for 5 hours. You can make small talk. Let's talk about why you should make small talk. This will help you understand why it's supposed to be boring. Because small talk is just to fill silence. So if your elevator ride takes 30 seconds, you can go down 30 seconds in silence, or you can have 30 seconds of a boring conversation with your coworker or a stranger. The choice is yours. It's also to make the other person feel more comfortable. If you sit down on that plane and you're going to be sitting beside this other person for 5 hours, simply exchanging a few words will make both of you feel more comfortable. So now let's talk about all the phrases that you need to make small talk just like a native speaker. The first category is the weather. Nothing is more boring than talking about the weather, so it's the perfect topic for small talk. Now, because we work virtually now and you have members of your team all over the world, you can say, what's the weather like in Toronto today, assuming you're not in Toronto. So you can ask them, oh, what's the weather like in your city today? Now, don't worry about writing down any of these phrases because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. You can make a simple statement like, beautiful day, isn't it? That's a great one with a stranger when you're going in an elevator. Beautiful day, isn't it? Notice you're adding isn't it as a question tag. You could say, I hear it's supposed to rain this weekend. So it's supposed to, that's in the future. Oh, I hear it's supposed to rain tonight, tomorrow, the next day, in the weekend, next month, any future reference. You can make a general statement, I'm really looking forward to spring. And the other person will likely say, yeah, me too. It's been such a long winter. I know, right? And then you just naturally have a boring conversation about the weather. Another simple statement, looks like another hot weekend. And then again, just like before, yeah, doesn't it? What are you going to do? And then you can naturally start talking about the weather, or you can transition into the weekend, which we will learn about in just a second. One final expression for you. This one is a question. Is it still snowing? Now you can use this one if you have been in the office or inside and you're asking someone and you know they were just outside, or you might not know but you're assuming that they've been outside. Is it still snowing? Is it still raining? Is it still cloudy? Is it still sunny? And then obviously you use whatever weather is appropriate for the specific time. Another boring category that everyone loves talking about, traffic. Just ask your coworker or that stranger in the elevator, how was the traffic? How was the traffic coming in this morning, leaving, whatever the time of day is? Now, if you know the person takes a specific route, then you could ask them, did you get stuck in the traffic on Main Street too? Because you know your coworker or the person you're talking to had to take Main Street. Now, even if this is a stranger, but you're at the airport, so they have to take a certain road to get to the airport, so you can still use this with strangers. You can make a simple statement like, the bus was 20 minutes late today. So you don't need a car to use these. You can use whatever method of transportation that you use. Another question for you. Do you know when? And then ask something traffic related. Do you know when the bridge is supposed to be fixed? And this is a bridge that the person you're talking to will 100% know is under construction. Again, this could be with a stranger because to get to the airport, you have to go over a bridge. Now, keep in mind when you're making small talk, you don't actually care about the answer. Remember, that's not the goal. The goal isn't to find out when the bridge is going to be fixed. The goal is simply to have a boring conversation, to fill time, to kill time, and to make the other person feel comfortable. Our next category, topical events. A topical event is simply something that people are talking about right now. It could be a holiday, a sports event, it could be a new movie, something on the news. It's topical, people are talking about it. So if it's the time of year of the Olympics, or just before, just after, and you're sitting next to a stranger on the train, you could just ask them, oh, what's your favorite Olympic sport? And the question will seem normal and natural because everyone is talking about the Olympics. Or if it's award season, you could ask, who do you think will win Best Actor? If it's a holiday, a major holiday, you could ask them, are you staying in New York for Christmas? Or you could ask another question related to that holiday. Around Thanksgiving in North America, everyone buys a turkey. So it would seem extremely appropriate to ask someone, even a stranger, have you bought your turkey yet? And it could turn into a really interesting conversation because they might have a story about it, or they might say, oh, actually, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving because I'm from, and maybe they're from a different country. And then even if they don't celebrate it, you can still have an interesting conversation. So it's a great conversation starter. Maybe there's a community event and you can ask them, do you know anyone running the marathon this weekend? And even if the answer is no, well, then you can still go back and forth. Oh yeah, me neither. I don't like sports too much. Oh, what do you like? And then it will naturally evolve. Movies are a great choice. There's always a new movie or a new Netflix show or even a new popular YouTube video. And you could ask them, have you seen the new Star Wars movie yet? And even if they say no, oh, what kind of movies do you like? Oh, you don't like movies? You like music? What kind of music do you like? And the conversation can naturally evolve. Just remember that small talk should be boring and non-controversial. Of course, elections are topical events, but you don't want to talk about elections when you're having small talk with a stranger or someone in the elevator. You should not ask them, did you vote yet? Who did you vote for? That is inappropriate for small talk. Our final category, the weekend, something everyone loves talking about. Now keep in mind, if this is on a Tuesday, you can talk about the last weekend. If this is on a Thursday, the future weekend, and if it's on a Wednesday, well, you can decide. You can talk about either one, past or future. So there's always a weekend to discuss. Did you do anything exciting this weekend? Now this is in the past, maybe on a Monday or Tuesday. You can just change this to the future if it's Thursday or Friday. Are you doing anything exciting this weekend? What are you up to this weekend? Native speakers love using this expression. That's in the future. In the past, what were you up to this weekend? Being this past weekend. An easy one. Do you have any plans? Do you have any plans this weekend? Asking for a recommendation or advice, again, even if you don't actually want the recommendation or advice, is a great conversation starter. You can ask, do you know of any events happening this weekend? Or can you recommend? Can you recommend a great Italian restaurant or just restaurant in general or whatever restaurant you want? Or you could ask them, what's your favorite cafe near here? I love asking this question because I get to go to new places I would never find on my own. And I have tried some amazing spots just by asking strangers, oh, what's your favorite restaurant near here? What's your favorite cafe near here? You always learn interesting results. Now that you know all this natural vocabulary, it's time to learn how to introduce yourself in a natural, advanced way. Let's look at a very basic way to introduce yourself that you may know. You can say, hi, my name is Anna. I'm from Brazil. I'm an accountant. Nice to meet you. This is a standard introduction that native speakers use, and there's nothing wrong with it. But let's make this more advanced, more professional, and more natural. First, let's review some advanced conversation starters you can use before you say, my name is Jennifer. You can say, hi, I don't think we've met. And then your name. I'm Jennifer. So this is how you can just approach someone and start talking.
Hi, I don't think we met. I'm Tom.
Or you can say, hi there. Adding there to hi makes it sound more friendly, more casual. Hi there. I don't think we've been introduced yet. I'm Jennifer.
Hi, I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Terry Schuster, Will's pregnant wife.
Or, hi, I don't think we've had the chance to meet yet. I'm Jennifer. They're all different ways of saying the exact same thing, but all are commonly used by natives. You can also simply say, hi, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer. So that's the reason why you're saying hello to this person. You wanted to introduce yourself. Or you can simply make a general comment and say something like, what a great event. I'm Jennifer, by the way, by the way. Adding by the way after sounds casual, it sounds friendly. Now, notice in all of these, I said, I'm Jennifer. You can absolutely say, my name's Jennifer. Notice that contraction, my name is, my name's Jennifer. Don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's review some advanced and natural ways you can share your name preferences. So you've introduced yourself. Hi, I'm Jennifer. My name's Jennifer, but I go by Jen. So notice this but, that just helps connect the two. But I go by. So to go by and then the name, in this case Jen, suggests that's what I want you to call me. So again, hi, I'm Jennifer, but you can call me Jen. So instead of to go by, you can say, you can call me Jen. They're the same. Or how about this one? Very casual. Hi, I'm Jennifer, but everyone calls me Jen. So this is an indirect way of you inviting the person to also call you Jen.
But everyone calls me Tom.
Or you can say, my name's Jen, So you introduce yourself as the short form. My name's Jen. Actually, my full name is Jennifer, but I go by Jen. So that's an option as well if you just want to introduce yourself with the short form. Now let's say I walk up to you and say, hi, my name's Jennifer. You might ask me, do you go by Jen? So you want to know, should I call you Jennifer or Jen, because it's so common to call Jennifers Jen. Now, I could reply back and say, actually, I prefer Jennifer. So that's my way of letting you know how I want you to call me. And I included that because that happens to me a lot, but I do prefer Jennifer, so I often have to correct people when I'm meeting them for the first time. And remember, you can use this as a question form. So if I say, my name's Jennifer, you can ask me, what do you go by? What do you go by? And then I'll say, I prefer Jennifer, I go by Jennifer, or you can call me Jennifer. They all mean the same thing.
I go by Travis.
Now let's review some phrases for talking about where you're from. Of course, you know I'm from, and then the place. I'm from Ottawa. You can say I'm originally from. I'm originally from Winnipeg, the name of a city, but I've been living in Ottawa, my current place, for a few years. And you can be more specific if you want. To be based in is commonly used in a business context, and then I've been living in is the general term. Now, you can also say I grew up in. I grew up in Winnipeg, previous place, but I've been living in Ottawa, my current place, since, and then a specific time, since 2010. Or you might say, I was born and raised here. So this means you've spent your entire life in the current location. I was born and raised here. Born and raised, born and raised. That's a great expression that native speakers use. Just notice it's to be born and raised in the past simple. I was born and raised here.
Yes, I was born and raised here, Joan.
Or maybe, actually, I've just moved here from, and then the place you just left, from Winnipeg. Or maybe you want to talk about where you're going next. I'm actually planning to relocate to Chicago soon. So Chicago is the new place, not the current place. Now notice I used to move. This is of course a general term for changing where you live. You can also use to relocate. Notice that pronunciation, relocate. This is more formal or professional, and it's used for moving, but in a business or official context. So it's often when your company requires you to move. So you share where you're from, and now you can offer some follow-up questions. Of course, you can simply say, and you, I'm from Ottawa, and you, or so, where are you from? So just makes it sound more friendly and casual. So, where are you from?
So where are you from?
Are you from here? What's your hometown like? So this is an open-ended question. You're inviting the person to give you more information. Do you like living here? Another open-ended question.
So how do you like living here?
Or a great question, what's your favorite thing about? And then whatever city, their previous city, their current city, their next city, any city. Now let's review some phrases for describing what you do. The standard is I'm an accountant. And because accountant starts with a vowel sound. I'm a manager, for example. So and you must use an article before the job title. But what if you want to add more information? You can say, I've been working as an accountant for over 10 years, or whatever time reference. So notice the present perfect continuous. Or I'm an accountant specializing in something. Tax planning for large multinational corporations, for example. Or you can be more specific about the type of accountant or manager or IT person, developer you are, and say, I'm a forensic accountant. Now, most people, if they're not accountants, won't know what this is. So you might explain in simple terms what you actually do. I'm a forensic accountant, so basically I analyze financial records to find any signs of fraud or error. So you're letting the person know so they understand. You would use that if you're talking to a group of non-accountants. Or you can say, I worked as an accountant for most of my life. So notice, worked is in the past simple, but I recently transitioned into marketing. So this is an advanced way of saying you just started a new career in marketing. Or you can say, I was an accountant for over 10 years, but a few years ago I left accounting. I left my job as an accountant to pursue a career in, and then whatever you want, in journalism. Or I used to be an accountant, but I recently became certified as an English teacher, maybe. Now, do not say I'm unemployed, I'm jobless. That sounds very negative, and native speakers do not use those expressions. Native speakers say things like, I'm between jobs. I'm in a career transition. I'm exploring new opportunities. That is what you want to say. Now let's review some follow-up questions. So you say, I'm a forensic accountant specializing in, and then you explain what you do, and you, or so, what do you do? What do you do? That's how you ask someone about their work. So, what do you do? So, what kind of work do you do? Just an alternative, but the first one is more common. So, what do you do? Or you could ask an open-ended question and say, how did you get started in that field, in that line of work? What do you enjoy most about your job? What's a typical day like for you? So these are open-ended questions. Now let's review some phrases for explaining why you're there. And you can use these for events, meetups, conferences, classes, workshops. You can say, I'm here with a few colleagues. Maybe you say a few marketing colleagues or accounting colleagues to learn about, and then something specific, the new products, the new technology. Or I'm here to learn and see what's new in the industry. I'm looking to meet. Notice, I'm looking to do something. This is a casual way of saying I want to, but it sounds more natural, more social. I'm looking to meet others in the same field. So the field represents the area of work, accounting. Or I'm hoping to connect. I'm hoping to do something. I'm hoping to connect with other accountants, or maybe with other potential clients. Or maybe you're actively involved in the event or the presentation, the workshop, and you say, I'm presenting later. That's why you're here. I'm one of the presenters or one of the organizers.
I'm a presenter at one of these award shows.
And then you want to direct it to the other person you're talking to, so you can always say, and you? And what about you? So what brings you here? This is the native way of saying, why are you here? Which sounds very direct. So what brings you here? Or you could ask, have you attended this event before, if it's a regular event? Or an open-ended question, what are you hoping to get out of today? This means, what are you hoping to achieve? What are you hoping to get out of today? And today represents this event. What are you hoping to get out of this public speaking workshop? Now, when you're talking to someone, it's very important to show that you're actively listening to that person. So let's review some phrases for reacting and responding naturally. These are to show you're interested and engaged. So as the person is telling you about their hometown or what it's like to be a forensic accountant, you can say, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, cool. Oh, wow. Oh, really? No way. I had no idea. I had no idea forensic accounting was so interesting, or forensic accountants did this, whatever it might be.
Oh, wow.
Or if they're telling you about their day-to-day job, you can say, that must keep you busy, or sounds like you're passionate about it. Sounds like you're passionate about forensic accounting. What's that like? What's that like? So that can always be a general follow-up question, or as they're making an opinion or sharing a perspective, you can say, that's a great point. That's a great point. Or, I'd love to hear more about it. I'd love to hear more about your day-to-day as a forensic accountant. So you're inviting them to continue talking. Now, when you're introducing yourself to someone or talking to someone new in your native language or a foreign language, there are always awkward moments. So let's review some phrases for handling uncertainty, you don't know what to say, or awkward moments. So maybe if you forget important information, you don't know what to say, or there's a lull. A lull is that awkward silence where nobody is saying anything. That's a lull. So you can just be honest and say, sorry, I don't remember your name. I use this a lot. I feel like honesty is the best policy, especially when you just met someone. It's okay if you forget their name. Just let them know. Sorry, I don't remember your name. Or you can use this one. Can you remind me? And then what your name is, or can you remind me what you do again? So you're talking to that person, they're telling you about their day, but you're like, what does this person do? You've met so many other people. Can you remind me? That's a great phrase. Or how about this? They ask you about your opinion or perspective. You don't know what to say. Just be honest. I'm not sure about that. But then change the topic or else there'll be an awkward silence. I'm not sure about that. Have you tried the food yet? It's delicious. So you can just change the topic. Or if you're talking and then you just stop, you don't know what to say next, you can say, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, what did you think about the presentation? So admit that you don't know what to say, I just lost my train of thought, and then transition to a different topic using anyway. Now, if you feel like you've been talking a lot, they asked you one simple question and 5 minutes later you're still talking, you might stop when you realize this and say, anyway, enough about me, what do you do? Or what's your hometown like? Or what's your field like? So you stop your conversation and ask them a question. And if there's an awkward silence in the conversation, just say, so, do you have any plans for the summer? No matter what context you're in, people are happy to talk about their plans. And of course, it can be any season or time reference.
So, any plans for the summer?
And you can always talk about the weather and make a simple statement like, can you believe how hot this summer has been? And then you'll start talking about the weather and then the conversation will naturally continue. Now let's review some phrases for ending the conversation. You're at a party or at an event and there are a lot of other people and you don't want to talk to the forensic accountant anymore. So how do you say you don't want to talk to them? You can't just say, okay, bye, and walk away. That's awkward. So you can use these phrases. It's been great chatting with you. Chatting with you is the informal way of saying talking to you. It's been great chatting with you. I'm going to introduce myself to some other people. Enjoy the party. And then you walk away, you leave, or you wait for them to say, yeah, it was nice talking with you, enjoy the night, and you exchange a pleasantry, but you leave. Or you can say, I'm so glad we got a chance to chat. Again, chat is a casual way of saying talk. I'm so glad we got a chance to chat. I see some other people I need to talk to. Enjoy the rest of the event. And then you leave. Or this one I love using. You simply say, I'm going to circulate a bit. So to circulate a bit, circulate, but imagine it's you. So you're going to just go around the room and move around. I'm going to circulate a bit. It's been so nice meeting you, and I'm sure we'll chat again before the night's over or before the workshop is over, whatever the event is. I like using that one. You can also say, I really enjoyed our conversation. I'm going to get some food. So this is a great excuse of why you want to stop talking to the person. I'm going to get some food, but I'm sure we'll see each other again. Take care, or some pleasantry, and then you leave. Let's keep going to help you sound more fluent and natural. You'll learn 15 great phrases I use every day, and you can too. Number 1, easier said than done. Do you know this phrase? Native speakers, including myself, love using this. Easier said than done. This is used to say that something is more difficult to do than it sounds. So we commonly use this as a reply when someone gives you advice or a solution that sounds simple when they say it, but is actually hard to carry out, which means it's hard to do. So let's say your friend wants to give you some advice and says, just tell your boss you don't want to work weekends. Well, that is easy to open your mouth and say, I don't want to work weekends, but the consequences of that might be more severe. So you can reply back to your friend and say, easier said than done. Now you can add on that's easier said than done, or you can even start with the action in the gerund. Talking to my boss is easier said than done. Now, when you say this, your friend will probably agree and say, yeah, I get that, which means I understand, or you're right, or even I see where you're coming from, which is another way of saying I understand your perspective or your opinion. So maybe your friend knows you want to practice your English speaking skills, so your friend says to you, just start conversations with native speakers. And what can you reply back with? Easier said than done. Or maybe you can use this different phrase and say starting conversations with natives is becoming easier with every lesson I watch. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description.
Nothing. Okay, so this one, way easier said than done. But as much as you can practice it, you will see it works like magic.
Now, doing this is easier said than done. It's very hard to know, by the way, what it is you take for granted. And the reason is that you take it for granted.
This is easier said than done, but this is the job of the food movement.
Number 2, it's been one of those days. Ooh, do you know what this means? This is used as a full phrase to describe a day full of small problems, frustrations, or stress. So if your friend asks you, how's it going? Or how was your day? You can reply back usually with some tone and facial expression and say, oh, it's been one of those days. Or you might use this as a reason why you're behaving more negatively than normal. You can say, sorry, I'm grumpy. Grumpy means you're a little irritated, angry, annoyed. Sorry, I'm grumpy. It's been one of those days. So that's the reason why. Now you can also use this phrase and then explain the reasons why. It's been one of those days. I missed the train. I was 20 minutes late for an important meeting. I spilled coffee on my shirt, and the vending machine ate my money, which means the vending machine took your money but did not give you the candy bar you so desperately wanted. Now, keep in mind, this phrase is used with small problems, frustrations, or stress.
It's been one of those days, and I'm angry.
It's been just one of those days.
But it's one of those days where I've just been, really taking it easy. And
Number 3, I love this one. You read my mind. Do you know this one? This means that you said or did exactly what I was thinking. So maybe you say, hey, Jennifer, let's stay in, which means stay at home. Let's stay in and watch a movie tonight. Now I can reply back and say, you read my mind. So this means that I was just about to suggest that we stay in and watch a movie tonight. Now, to acknowledge that you and your friend had the exact same idea, one of you can add on a bonus phrase, great minds think alike. Notice this phrase, you read my mind. This uses the verb to read, but is conjugated in the past simple. So of course that pronunciation is the same as read. You read my mind. So the mind is also possessive to whoever is speaking.
Yeah, you read my mind. I got into trouble.
Oh my God, you read my mind.
Right?
Yeah, you read my mind. I was about to go into that after we cover this. I'll be right there.
Number 4, you need this phrase in your vocabulary. I'm running a bit late. Now, to say I'm running late means I'm going to be late. I'm running a little late, or you can use a bit late. They have the same meaning. This is very commonly used to send a quick text message. Sorry, running late, be there in 10. Now, in text messages, we omit words that are not needed, but in the full form, you would say, sorry, I'm running late. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And notice that to run late, this is most commonly used in the present continuous. I'm running late because it's taking place now.
I'm actually running a little bit late for tea with the Queen.
I'm running a little bit late.
Number 5, it slipped my mind. This is one you'll probably use every day. It means I forgot. Now it means I forgot something or to do something. This is generally used to admit you forgot something or to do something, so it's to take responsibility. It's generally used with minor responsibilities or events. For example, your friend might ask you, did you make the reservation? Notice that co-location, you make a reservation, let's say for dinner at a restaurant. And you can reply back and say, oh, sorry, it slipped my mind, which means I forgot to make the reservation. And then you can reply back and say, I'll do it now, or I'll make the reservation now. I had another example I wanted to share with you, but it completely slipped my mind. And notice I use completely to emphasize this statement. Now I could add on, I'm sure the example will come back to me. So the information will return to my mind.
There was one more thing I wanted to ask you about that, but it slipped my mind. Give me 1 second.
I had one other, and it just slipped my mind.
So sorry. It just slipped my mind with all the moving, all that stuff.
Number 6, it's not the end of the world. Do you know this one? This is a great one to have. It means it's not as bad or significant as it seems. So I could say to you, making grammar mistakes while speaking is not the end of the world. It's not as significant as it may seem. Or I could say, I'm so sorry, I forgot to make the reservation yesterday. It completely slipped my mind. Now my friend could try to make me feel better by saying, it's not the end of the world, which is like saying, it's not a big deal, or that's okay, or no worries.
It's not the end of the world for the bond market by any means, but the market reaction to the Fed statement in the chairman's discussion was really quite something.
It's not the end of the world if you missed the soccer game.
If it's not absolutely perfect, it's not the end of the world because we're referencing from the same phase every time.
Number 7, thanks for the heads up. Do you know what a heads up is? This is a warning or advanced notice. Now, this is used when someone gives you useful information ahead of time, so in advance. You can also say just a heads up that we're closing early tomorrow for a private event. So maybe the cafe you normally go to says this to you. Now you can reply and say thanks for the heads up. The because it's a specific heads up. Or you could say I appreciate the heads up. It's like saying thanks for letting me know. So your coworker might say to you, just a heads up that the boss is in a bad mood today. This is an example that one of my students gave during a live lesson, and I loved it so much, I'm sharing it here with you. Now you can reply back and say, thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the information, because now I know I need to behave differently around my boss because she's in a bad mood.
Thanks for the heads up.
Thanks for the heads up of what content to expect.
Thanks for the heads up on the upcoming policies. We'll look forward to seeing how US Aid is innovating.
Number 8, don't quote me on that. This is another example that one of my amazing students used, and I loved it so much, I'm sharing it with everyone. This means I'm not 100% sure, so don't repeat what I just said as fact. So this is used when giving information that you're not sure is 100% correct. For example, I think the client is coming at 3:30, but don't quote me on that. It's like saying I may be wrong. Or you could say he might be working from home today, but don't quote me on that. Again, I could be wrong. Notice this is always used in the negative.
I think it's like $1.4 billion. Don't quote me on that.
Don't quote me on that, but I imagine if you Google it, you might find something that would approximate that.
Number 9, just to be on the safe side. Do you know this one? This goes with the last one very well. It means to be extra careful or cautious. So this is generally used when taking a precautionary action. For example, I think the client is coming at 3:30, but ask Mark just to be on the safe side. So just as a precaution. With small everyday things, someone might say, take an umbrella just to be on the safe side. As a precaution, you can start with the phrase, just to be on the safe side, take an umbrella. So notice the phrase can go before or after the statement.
Just to be on the safe side, members of the current administration might want to brush up on their job skills, just in case.
Do I go lower than the norm just to be on the safe side?
Just to be on the safe side, I decided not to remarry and not to have children. So much for that problem.
Number 10, let me get back to you on that. This means I'll reply later after I verify the information. So this is used to delay your answer until you have more information. So it's a great phrase to have. So if someone asks you, when's the client coming? You can say, I think at 3:30. I think the client's coming at 3:30, but let me get back to you on that, just to be on the safe side. So you will verify the information and then let the person know. Now, this is commonly used with social invitations. A friend could ask you, are you free on Saturday? And you don't know what your plans are yet. So you can say to your friend, let me get back to you tomorrow. This is like saying, I'll let you know tomorrow. So to get back to someone means to respond. So if your friend asks you, is Sarah coming to the party? You can say, I don't know. She hasn't gotten back to me yet. She hasn't replied yet.
Yeah, and let me get back to you on that. I will follow up with you. So,
let me get back to you on that. What's your next one? Well, let me get back to you on that. Thank you.
Number 11, let me sleep on that. This means I need more time to think about this decision. So for example, your friend could ask you, are you going to tell your boss what the client said? And then you can reply back and say, I haven't decided. I need to sleep on it. So this is saying I need some time 24 hours perhaps, to think, reflect, analyze, weigh the pros and cons. This can also be used as advice. Your friend could say, I know you're upset, but before you quit, I suggest you sleep on it. You take the night to really consider this decision.
And you can't decide how to interpret it. And so you say, let me sleep on it.
Let me sleep on it. Let me think if I really want to be bitten by this creature.
Let me just sleep on it.
Number 12, I'm on the fence about it. Do you know what this means? This means I haven't made a decision yet, or simply, I'm undecided. So this is used when you're unsure between two or more options. For example, are you going to your ex's wedding? I'm on the fence about it. You haven't decided. Or you could say, I'm on the fence about quitting my job. So about is a preposition. If you use a verb, it's in the gerund. Now, if you say, I'm on the fence about quitting my job, maybe your friend would say, you should sleep on it. Or take more time to decide just to be on the safe side.
Sort of on the fence about is the road it takes between comedy and drama, back and forth and back and forth.
But I'm still on the fence about it. So I'm trying to make it as transparent as possible.
That's why I'm kind of on the fence about it. I can go with yes, yeah.
Number 13, don't jump to conclusions. This is an important phrase. It means don't judge a situation too quickly or without enough information. So it's used to slow someone down when they're making a quick judgment. So if your friend says, Sarah hasn't gotten back to me yet, remember, Sarah hasn't replied to me yet. She must be mad at me. That's what your friend thinks. Now you can reply back and say, don't jump to conclusion. It's only been one day. She's probably just busy. So don't judge the situation too quickly. Or commonly, my boss asked to see me this afternoon. He's going to fire me. I know it. Does that ever run through your mind? Now, hopefully your coworker says to you, don't jump to conclusions.
So basically, don't jump to conclusions with only a little data.
A Hindu group in India, I'll tell you the name, but don't jump to conclusions. It's not the group you're thinking of.
Don't jump to conclusions or doubt what they're saying or give instant answers or quote Christian cliches.
Number 14, that's a tough call. This is used to say that's a difficult decision to make. So a call is a decision, and tough and difficult are the same thing. So this is used when two options are close in benefits or risk. So for example, the forecast says there's a 45% chance of rain tomorrow. Should we keep the event outside or move it inside? And your friend can reply back and say, that's a tough call. Now maybe they would add on and say, personally, I'd move it inside just to be on the safe side. Or your friend could say, should I accept the job in Chicago or Manhattan? I'm on the fence. I'm undecided. Now your friend can say, that's a tough call. Both are amazing opportunities. You should sleep on it.
I was just going to say that's a tough call, but that's how I would make it.
That's a tough call. Eventually, the system's going to fall apart.
It's a very tough call to make.
Number 15, I'll take care of it. This is used to say, I'll handle this task or situation. So this is used when you volunteer for a responsibility. So if you're in a meeting and the boss says, does anyone have time to drop off the package? And there are 5 people in the room. You can say, I'll take care of it. You can also say, I can take care of it. I can take care of dropping off the package. So notice if you specify the verb, it's in the ing form. Or at home, maybe your wife or sister or mother says, I'll make dinner when I get home. Now you say to that person, oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care of dinner. So here, notice it's a noun. You've had a long day. Let me take care of it. So let me accept the responsibility for that. Amazing job. Think of everything you learned in this masterclass. Do you want me to make another masterclass for you? If you do, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.